Live on TikTok, Rumble, YouTube, and X. Dr. Peter Glidden, thank you for joining us again.
Sam, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you more than you know. Keep up the good work, buddy.
Well, I'm excited to have you here. So we're going to let some people add in here. We're gaining viewers as we speak. Let's see here. My apologies, everybody. I'm trying to work out the technical issues here. I believe we are live on everywhere, it looks like. Oh, here we go. At Leatherworks, I can see and hear you. Thank you. LFB with a bunch of ones and zeros and nines. Hello, Sam. Happy Friday. Well, happy Friday to you as well. All right. Okay, so, Doc, we're just going to jump right in on this. I have a question from a friend of mine, and I know that we do not treat disease, but I also know that there are people that have existing conditions that are, this is a personal friend of mine for 30 plus years, and he has something called benign prostate enlargement. Now, I've gotten him on 90 for Life, and he's been on it maybe about a month and a half now, and he's doing well with it. But is there something in particular that you can say to him to address that issue?
Well, yeah, I mean, how much time do you have? So, yeah, the answer is unequivocally yes. But before I get into those particulars, it's important that we talk about the elephant in the room, which is the fact that the only thing that can treat a disease in the United States of America is a drug.
Oh, Doc, before you continue, let me explain. We did some short cutouts on our last live, and we posted them on TikTok, and I got a strike against me. So I think we need to be really careful with the phraseology that we use. I know that's kind of a hamstring, but I just want you to be aware of that because they could shut us down if we're not careful.
Okay.
I know.
All right. Okay, good. So there's, yeah, I all right, very good.
So go ahead.
So according to the powers that be in the United States, the only thing that can treat a disease is a drug. So if you were a patient of mine in a state in which I was licensed as a naturopathic physician, I could tell you that I was treating your disease because I was allowed by the law to do that. But if you are not in a state in which I am licensed and you are consulting with me, I can't treat a disease because it's against the law, which is freaking ridiculous. But that's the way that it is from one point of view. It's the legal point of view. Now, the other point of view is really interesting to talk about because in point of fact, even in states that naturopathic physicians are licensed to practice medicine, we don't treat disease because there's no such thing as disease. You can't have a headache without the head. You can't have the arthritis without the joint. We've been socialized to believe that illness is like a parrot that sits on our shoulder and it's the doctor's job to find a bullet that kills the parrot. And then that same bullet will be used for that same parrot that's on everybody else's shoulder. And that's just BS. It's nonsense. Because you are the disease. Naturopathic doctors treat people. Allopathic doctors, MDs, treat disease. And that's why they fail. And that's why we succeed because the tumor is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The arthritic joint is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The constricted airway is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The depression is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The eczematous skin eruption is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. So in MD land, when pathology is focused on and the disease is in fact treated, that's why you only need to spend 5 minutes with the medical doctor if you're lucky. Because the only thing they're concerned with is the objective scientific discovery so they can make a pin-headed diagnosis. And then they, like the parrot on the shoulder, they throw a treatment at the parrot, at the disease specifically. Nothing gets cured. So the high blood pressure is never cured, it's managed. The depression is never cured, it's managed. The arthritis is never cured. It's managed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a shit show, for goodness sakes. But I digress. Naturopathic doctors, when we focus on physiology, attempt to CURE the situation. That's what we do. That's what all holistic doctors do. That's why the title of my second book was Attempt to Cure. And, that book was banned on Amazon.
Wow, I did not know that.
Cure has become a 4-letter word now in medicine, right? Not supposed to use it. So the long story short here is that you have, a swollen prostate because of funky physiology. So you have to fix the physiology, because when you fix the physiology, the pathology disappears. And it's the same for every illness. Hence the naturopathic maxim, we don't treat disease, we treat people. And there's a gigantic freaking difference between treating a disease and treating a person. And the MDs treat diseases, and that's why they fail. So, there's a saying in medicine that when you hear hoofbeats, you think about horses before you think about zebras, which means you think about the most common things that cause things before you think about weird things that cause things. So the first thing to consider with a swollen prostate is benign prostatic hypertrophy, which is fancy schmancy doctor talk where your prostate's swollen. You don't have a swollen prostate because you have a prostate. You don't have a swollen prostate because you have a bad gene. You don't have a swollen prostate because you're getting older, and you don't have a swollen prostate because of chemtrails, which are very real things, by the way. You have a swollen prostate because you have a bad doctor. Period. I mean, you got the swollen prostate while you were under the care of the conventional medical doctor, didn't you? Isn't that when that happened? Aren't you paying a small fortune in medical insurance premiums every month to have access to medical care? And while you're under the care of the MD, you got sick. And nobody thinks twice about that. Well, I do. It's the doctor's fault that this happened. It happened while you were under their care. But again, I digress.
Well, so also too, Doc, if I can interject right there, not only the doctor's care, but we're talking about nutritional deficiency as well, right?
Well, yeah, 100%. But, right? So the first thing to consider, right, when you hear hoofbeats, you think about horses before you think about zebras, which means you think about common things that cause things before you think about weird things that cause things. So the first thing to consider with a benign prostatic hypertrophy is it is a deficiency in selenium, a deficiency in the trace mineral selenium. We're somewhat familiar, the general public is somewhat familiar with nutrient deficiency illnesses. For instance, scurvy, I think, is the most famous, the pirate disease. It's caused by a vitamin C deficiency. It's a nasty, horrible way to die, and it's a vitamin C deficiency, period. Rickets is a vitamin D like David deficiency. A spina bifida is a folic acid deficiency, right? These are deficiency diseases. Well, guess what, folks? As it turns out, all chronic disease is directly related to nutrient deficiencies with an emphasis on minerals. I mean, if your car runs out of engine oil, the engine seizes. Nothing wrong with the engine. You ran out of oil. Car runs out of power steering fluid. You can't turn the wheel. Nothing wrong with the wheel. You ran out of fluid. The tires need 30 pounds of air. They've got 10. They're going to roll off the rim when you go around a corner. There's nothing wrong with the tire. It needed air. Well, there are 90 nutrients that the human body needs. 90 essential nutrients that the human body needs. These essential nutrients are not in the food. Not all of them. And less and less and less. Thank you, Monsanto. So the very first thing to consider with any iteration of any illness whatsoever is that you're nutritionally deficient. And what do? You fill the body's nutritional tank up, you get the hell out of the way, and you see how far back the body bounces. And by the way, we have surveyed 10,000 people who have done this. They filled their body's nutritional tank up. That's all they did. No private appointment necessary. All they did was take the requisite nutrients. 83% 8,300 out of 10,000 had complete recoveries of their chief complaints. So how can this possibly be? Because the human body knows how to fix itself. The human body wants to fix itself. The human body is trying to fix itself. This is the best kept secret in modern medicine and the pharmaceutical industry. It's an old saw by now, but they don't want you to know this because a customer cured is a patient cured is a customer lost. So there's also a botanical medicine which has an extract of a plant called Serenoa repens, saw palmetto, which has been clinically proven to reduce the inflammation in the prostate. So in addition to the 90 essential nutrients, I would give extra selenium. I would do 2 ultimate selenium 3 times a day between meals. 2 ultimate selenium 3 times a day between meals. And I would do 1 bottle of something called the Good Herbs prostate support because it has Serenoa repens in it. I would do 4 mLs 3 times a day, 4 mLs 3 times a day. I would do that whole program for 90 days and look to see what happens. And most of the time, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at what happens.
So everybody that's just heard what Doc said, if you want access to these particular supplements, if you go to samshalhoub.com or you click on the QR code on X, Rumble, and YouTube, it'll take you right to the website, my website, so that you can order those products. And if you're on TikTok, just go to samshalhoub.com. There's a big button on the front page that says, get your supplements here. So go ahead, Doc. We're talking about nutritional.
So that's what we do. Now, there's also one more thing that you can do. Well, there's 2 more things that you can do. One is, there go my balloons. Whenever I do this on TikTok, I get balloons. So you lie on your side and do a scissor kick with the upper leg, and then flip over and do a scissor kick with the other leg. You do that as many times as you can do it, then rest, and then do it again, and through 3 cycles.
What is that doing,
Scissor kick
Doc?
with each leg. That increases blood flow and lymphatic drainage to the pelvic area, which is a good thing. And you can also do something called a sitz bath, SITZ bath, which is basically a cold immersion of your pelvis. You immerse your pelvis in really cold water, leave it there for about 5 minutes, then you stand up and dry off. And the scissor kick and the sitz bath are very, very good methods to increase circulation to that particular part of the body, which doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that that's going to facilitate the delivery of good nutrients and the removal of bad crap from that part of the body.
Well, and
so that's how we do it.
Is part of that equation the detoxification of the toxins in the system? And if so, go ahead.
Yeah, so no, that's a common misconception. Because of, Dr. Google and unqualified health coaches all around the internet, one of the most misunderstood terms is detoxification. People have no idea what they're talking about when they talk about detoxing the human body. And I got to tell you something, Sam. Detoxification is extremely important. As far as I'm concerned, there are 4 pillars to health. Number 1, you have to fill your body's nutritional tank up with the 90 essential nutrients. It's mandatory. Number 2, you have to stop eating food that's hurting the body. It's mandatory. Number 3, you have to detoxify your body prudently and safely. And number 4, you have to kill parasites that are in the body. You need to do that prudently and safely. The emphasis on detoxification is doing it prudently and safely. And unless you get advice from a medical professional who has clinical experience with that, the chances are high that you're going to hurt yourself. So the therapeutic intervention here for prostate health has nothing to do with detoxification. It has everything to do with nutrification, right? And detox is a whole nother it's a whole nother Megillah.
Well, I know that there's a myriad of detoxification protocols out there, blood detox, liver detox, all these different things. And I was always under the impression that having detoxing the body was an important portion of keeping yourself healthy.
It is. But if you don't do it properly, you're going to hurt yourself, because when you detox, so here's how it goes, right? The vast majority of exogenous toxins that infiltrate the human body are fat soluble. So the body has wisdom. So the body sees that this crap is dangerous. So it gets it out of the general circulation and sticks it into fatty tissue. Okay, it's in fatty tissue. Now you get on board with some detox program, every single one of which includes some type of therapeutic fasting so that you burn fat. You burn fat, you liberate the toxins that was stored in the fat. Now the toxins enter the portal system, they go directly into the liver. Why do they do that? Because the body's smart. The liver is the organ that's responsible for detoxifying crap that gets into the blood. And there's phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification process, metabolic processes that happen in the human liver. But guess what? In order for the liver to complete the detoxification process, it needs, wait for it, nutrients. What don't you have enough of? Nutrients. So unless you are nutrifying the body first with all 90 essential nutrients for an extended period of time, 2-3 months, when you do a detox program and you liberate this crap into the bloodstream, it goes into the liver can't detox it. It goes right through. When that's like stirring up a hornet's nest.
I thought that, and I'm obviously not as well versed in this as you are, but I thought that the liver produced the bile, and then the bile was pushed over to the gallbladder where it meets the toxins and then gets moved out to the excretory system.
No, that's incorrect. So the liver does a lot of different things, one of which is the production of bile. And the bile is necessary for the digestion and absorption of fat. The bile does a lot of things, but the most important function of the bile is to help the body digest fat. So that's just one function of the liver, is the production of bile. Phase 1 and phase 2 detox is another very important function of the liver. And the stuff that the liver detoxes goes into the kidneys. Some of it goes into the large intestine, but the majority of it, the liver's job is to turn a fat-soluble toxin into a water-soluble toxin and then excrete it. But in order to turn a fat-soluble toxin into a water-soluble toxin, the liver needs nutrients. I mean, if your house is on fire and the fire department shows up, they've got the trucks, they've got the men, they've got the axes, they've got the ladders, they hook the hose up to the hydrant, but there's no water in the hydrant. Well, your house is going to burn down. You don't have any water. So unless you have nutrients, you're not going to be able to detox, and you're going to hurt yourself. I knew a guy years ago. We were acquaintances. We weren't really friends, but we knew each other. We ran in the same circles. This was when I was a freshman, I think, in naturopathic medical school. I was living in Seattle. He was a super born-again Christian, and he got it into his head that he was going to go into the woods in the Olympic rainforest for 40 days and do a water fast like Jesus did. He did it. He went into the woods in a tent for 40 days. All he did was drink water and, breathe air. 2 months later, he got leukemia, and within 2 years, he was dead.
Wow.
Why did that happen? Because he burned all this fat. He liberated all these toxins, and his body did not have the metabolic resources to detox it.
Wow.
So, it's like Mark Twain said. Well, I mean, in this case, it's true. So I'm going to take that back. What you don't know will hurt you. And that's why I exist. I mean, I'm going to shameless self-promotion here. I've been doing this for 35 years. And after 35 years, you learn a thing or two clinically. I mean, you see what works and you get a clue. I mean, I'm 65 years old now. I've been doing this clinically for 35 years. Honestly, Sam, I feel like I'm just hitting my stride. I'm just figuring it all out, right? 35 years. So, and that's why I have all of the information on my website, is to help people understand these distinctions and know what to do safely and effectively. And, because people are suffering needlessly. They're suffering needlessly just from lack of knowledge. And that is a function of the pharmaceutical monopolization of the medical market.
Well, Doc, and let's tell the audience. So for those of you who are new to this and don't know, Dr. Glidden has created a website. This website is abundantly full with information. Now, if you are interested in accessing that website, it's very simple. You go to samshalhoub.com and you'll see a button that says Dr. Peter Glidden. You click that button and it will bring you directly to his website. There's a cost, which is a very nominal cost for the amount of information that is on that website. So go to samshalhoub.com, look for the Dr. Peter Glidden button, and that'll take you directly to his website. And Doc, why don't you tell people a little bit about that website in terms of what there is on there and how they can access it and those types of things?
Okay, well, I got so much information on there, Sam. So
I know I've been on it many
I'm
times.
going to bring up a graphic here. I don't know if it's going to. Are my graphics posting backwards on your site?
Not that I can see.
Okay.
Let's see. Noah is bringing something up. It looks like. Can you see that on the live stream? Did you just bring something up? It looks like.
Yeah, I did that. Can you? Is that backwards for you, or is that good?
Yeah. So to fix that real quick, you just have to go into you'll see the 3 dots right next to your video.
Okay, there's 3 dots.
And that goes into video settings.
Okay, I'm looking for it. Hold on.
Take your time.
I'm not seeing it, buddy. Sorry.
So where is it? No, I know that if you look down at the bottom, Doc.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it now. I got it. Yeah, video settings.
Yeah, it's a nice video settings, and it should just be a toggle that just says mirror.
Okay, very good.
I noticed that with your little emblem. Just didn't want to interrupt.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Keep at it, fellas.
All right. So on the website that you should go to through the link on Sam's site, I have hundreds of hours of video and written tutorials. I talk about 90 different ailments. Oh, you have asthma? You click on the asthma presentation, you watch the video, and you follow the recommendations. Oh, you have eczema? You click on the eczema indication, and it tells you what to do. And these are clinically verified therapeutics that have been developed by myself and my colleagues collectively with hundreds of years of clinical experience. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. I also have a medical myth-busting section, a medical insight section, where I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to help you unlearn popular myths. Like, for instance, there's no such thing as bad cholesterol. How about that? Salt is your friend. Heartburn is caused by stomach acid that's too low, not stomach acid that's too high. I'm going to tell you how livestock ranchers know the secret to weight loss, and why don't you? There's all kinds of information that you should have been taught in high school. Simple concepts about health that you were not taught, and instead you were fed this bullshit propaganda by the pharmaceutical industry for your entire life. So my job, I don't want patients, Sam. I want students. I don't want to give somebody a fish. I want to teach them how to fish, because people are suffering needlessly. And so the information on my website is intended to help people extract themselves from the conventional medical matrix with knowledge that is empowering to them and which is clinically verified.
Right.
It's what's the word? I'm very proud of it. And
Yeah, and you should be,
it's
Doc.
taken
I
a
use
lot of
it.
time and effort to put it together, but it's chock full of health empowerment information, which you should have been taught in high school.
Right. So let's get to some of these questions and comments here. So let's see here. We have Step Up said, talk about it, Doc. Yeah, exclamation point. Step Up again, a couple of thumbs up. Stefano said, how can I do this? Please show me the way. I know our food is all poisonous.
Yeah. So all you have to do is click on the link that's to my website that's at Sam's website and become a member. It's $24 a month. The first 24 hours are free. So slam the doors and kick the tires for 24 hours. If you don't think the information is useful, then cancel. You won't be charged. I mean, it's that simple.
Right.
You just have to source the website and do it through Sam's link because I have an affiliate program that Sam's a part of.
And I'm grateful that I am part of that. Now, if you're on TikTok, you'll have to go to samshalhoub.com. If you're on X, Rumble, or YouTube, you can use the QR code that has been put on the screen by Noah. If you hit that QR code, it'll take you right to Dr. Glidden's website. So let's see here. We have Bowdog1111 said, you can't achieve homeostasis using synthetic means.
Yeah, that's not true. That's a common misconception, and I understand where that comes from.
What do you think he's saying there, Doc?
Well, that's, he doesn't like synthetic vitamins.
Oh, okay.
And, so I could unpack that a lot. So for instance, if you were a chemist and you were smart enough, you could take a cylinder of hydrogen and a cylinder of oxygen, and you could mix them together under the right circumstances, and you could make water. And it would be extremely clean and pure water, but it was synthetically manufactured. So is it good for you or is it not? It's an interesting question. So all of the research that's done on PubMed, all you have to do is go to PubMed.com and type in vitamin C, for example. I don't know how many, it's like 50,000, I think, published research papers on the effects of vitamin C. And they're all positive. Well, not all of them, but the vast majority are positive. This is vitamin C. This is what it does. This is what it does. Fantastic nutritional supplement. All of that research was done with synthetic vitamin C. So the synthetic stuff works. I mean, 35 years of clinical experience, this stuff works. You want to make the argument that the naturally occurring vitamins are more effective? Well, I don't know. Are they? Maybe, probably, but it doesn't matter because this stuff is effective and it doesn't hurt you. Maybe there's something better, but if there is, I haven't seen it in 35 years, number one. And number two, this stuff that I promote, I don't make any money from it. And the reason that I promote it is because it's the most clinically effective medical nutrition I've ever seen. I'm not a member of the company that manufactures it. I don't own stock in the company that manufactures it. I don't make any income from the sale of it at all. I have no financial ties to it at all. As a matter of fact, I don't like the people that run the company. But the fact of the matter is that it's extremely effective. And that's why I promote it. So, we need to move from the zone of theoretical, which is, synthetic vitamins are not good for you. And we need to move into the realm of the practical. What are we seeing with clinical experience? Well, what we're seeing is 83% of the people who take this stuff experience remarkable improvement. So how can you explain that if synthetic vitamins are bad? And, not all the stuff in the Healthy Foundation pack are synthetic. But nonetheless, that's a popular misconception, just like a lot of people don't understand what they're talking about when they say detox.
So for an example, the plant-derived minerals that I take, Are those coming directly from plants, or are they synthetic?
No. The plant-derived minerals are 100% organic plant-derived minerals. They're extracted from a mine in southern Utah, and the source was dinosaur era plants. Years and years and years ago, I mean, millions of years ago, the whole landscape in Utah was different. There were lakes and rivers and big mountains, and the plants back in those days were much bigger because the oxygen content in the air was much greater than it is now. That's why the animals were also bigger. The oxygen content in the air was different than it is now. The sun was different than it is now. Different radiation, everything was different. So, here's how it goes, man. Minerals are found in the soil, right? Plants can't make minerals. Animals can't make minerals. If plants could make minerals, we could bioengineer lettuce and it would make gold, right? So we can't do that. The only way that minerals get into the human body is if they're in the soil that the plant is growing in. The plant absorbs the mineral, and as the plant absorbs the mineral, it changes the structure of the mineral. And a plant-derived mineral is nature's preferred form of mineral supplementation for the human body. So all these dinosaur plants for millions of years were sucking minerals out of the ground, way more than are in the soil right now because of the conditions at the time. And then the asteroid hits the planet, or whatever it was that killed the dinosaurs. All the plants die and they decompose, but the minerals don't decompose. So the plant-derived organic minerals are locked into what's called a humic shale deposit. So we extract the humic shale, we purify it in water, like NASA grade purified water. It leaches the plant-derived minerals out, and we drink it. It is the best mineral supplement on the planet right now. Nothing else even comes close to it.
Interesting. Well, I've been taking it. I've been taking your advice. I told you about this tooth problem that I've had, and I have been using Beyond OsteoFX and plant-derived minerals, swishing it around in my mouth for at least a minute, probably more like 2 minutes, and I am getting some relief. So I'm wondering if, in fact, that is the reason for it, because, of course, I take a lot of other supplements. I take the 90 for Life, but it seems like those plant-derived minerals are doing something,
Yeah,
positively.
100%. I mean, so the minerals, so there are, and again, this isn't rocket science. It comes down to math, really. So there are 90 essential nutrients that the human body needs. 60 of those 90 are minerals. That's 2/3. 2/3 of your body's nutrient needs are minerals. So when you supplement with minerals, all kinds of good things happen. Yeah, and honest to God, Sam, most people wouldn't believe the things that I've seen people recover from. You wouldn't believe it. This is not the answer to all human ills, the magic bullet that cures everything. It's not. But it is an extremely effective therapeutic intervention, which is 100% consistent with natural law. And if people don't investigate this for themselves, well, more's the pity.
Yeah. Doc, let me get a couple of these questions and comments here. So, hey, Lil, Spirit Medium. She said she's a member of Dr. Glidden's website, and it's the best thing I've ever done. We have, bear with me here. Oh, it says Dr. Glidden is muted. I don't know if anybody else
Am I?
sees that. I'm not seeing it. You guys on TikTok, can you hear Dr. Glidden? If you would throw something in the chat, let me know whether or not he's muted or whether that's back online. And then also over here on X, Rumble, and YouTube. Oh, Lil over here, she's on the other feed as well. Hey guys, I'm sharing and trying to promote this live as much as I can. Appreciate you both very much, Lil. Thank you so much, Lil. You're a sweetheart for doing that. Now, let's see. I think, okay, it says you're back. You were muted for a minute, but you're not muted anymore.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and I think we're having some issues on TikTok, Doc, because Normally we have so many questions we can't even get to it, but I'm having some issues technically here. I don't know why. But Bodog, Bodog, who asked about the synthetic vitamin, says, I get it. They can be useful. And he also said plant-derived tinctures.
Yeah, well, plant-derived minerals, right, are, and also botanical tinctures. And so botanical medicines are a whole nother thing. And, you know, it's like a friend of mine said, well, God made herbs and man made drugs. Who do you trust? Right. So botanical medicines, which are usually alcohol extracts or glycerin extracts of a plant, are extremely effective at upregulating different organ systems in the body. There are specific plants for specific organs. And when you add the botanical stuff on top of the 90 essential nutrients, you know, and the diet modification, it's a freaking home run. No kidding.
Well, I've never heard of the botanical medicines before. I'm not really familiar with what that means.
Well, so that in our land, right there, it's a botanical medicine. It's
Is it homeopathy?
No, it's a plant.
Oh, hey, Doc, I think you have a volume over there on your end. Will you turn your volume down on your device?
Turn it down?
Well, yeah, because I think I'm hearing a reverberation.
Okay. How's that?
Let me test that. Yeah, much better. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry. Go ahead with what you were saying.
Okay, yeah, so botanical medicines are different than homeopathy. So, for instance, a botanical medicine, a perfect example of a common botanical medicine would be dandelion, right? So you take a dandelion out of the ground, you stick it in 200 proof alcohol solution at a certain temperature, a certain humidity for a certain number of days. The alcohol extracts the active ingredients from the plant. You take the original plant out of the alcohol, you filter it, you purify it, and now you have an alcohol extract of that plant. And there are thousands of botanical medicines that are extremely effective for upregulating human health. And when it comes to nutritional supplements, especially botanical medicines, the details of the manufacture of the product are very important. You know, is it a wildcrafted plant? Is it organically grown? Did you find it in Mother Nature? When was it harvested? How was it harvested? What was it distilled in? Was it distilled in 200 proof alcohol? Was it distilled in 100 proof alcohol? Was it distilled in glycerin? Was it just left in the sun to dry and then powdered and put in a capsule? There's all of these different distinctions which will make one botanical medicine super awesomely freaking fantastic and another botanical medicine, well, ho-hum.
Mm-hmm.
And hands down, the best botanical medicines that are available over the counter now are made by the Good Herbs Company, which are sold by the same company that, you know, sells the nutritional supplements.
Good Herbs Company?
Yep.
Okay. Now, again, everybody, I want to remind you that to get to Dr. Glidden's website, go to samshalhoub.com. If you're on TikTok, you'll have to go to samshalhoub.com, look for the Dr. Peter Glidden button and click that. If you're on X, YouTube, or Rumble, Noah just placed in the chat, you can click on that link where it says check Dr. Glidden, and that'll take you directly to his website on the other platforms. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to figure out how to get all of these platforms into one stream at one time without having some snafu take place, but we're certainly working on it, and thank you for your patience. So, okay, Doc, so let's talk a little bit about, we talked about a little bit about nutritional deficiency. We talked a little bit about toxicity. Give the audience some pointers in terms of how they can feel their best. What do they need to do on a regular basis? What would you call that? Clean water, nutritional, jamming ourselves full of nutrition. Give them some pointers on that practical steps that they can take per day.
So the human body knows how to fix itself. The human body wants to fix itself. The human body is trying to fix itself all the freaking time because the human body is inhabited by a spiritual intelligence. And, different religious disciplines or spiritual disciplines have different names for it. I don't care what you call it. But if you cut your finger, you don't have to tell your immune system to secrete fibrinogen and upregulate macrophage response time and increase helper T cell production. You don't even know what that is. All you have to do is keep the freaking finger dry and bandaged, and it heals itself. Our bodies grew themselves all by themselves from a single cell into us. The body is smart. The body knows what to do, but it needs our help. We need to breathe air. We need to drink water. We need to eat food. We need to put warm clothes on when we go out into cold air. There's things we need to do in order to survive. Well, filling up the body's nutritional tank is the most important thing. The most important thing for anybody to do, because your body is nutritionally deficient. It is impossible. It is not just difficult or tricky, improbable to get your body's nutritional needs met by eating food. You cannot do it. It is impossible. Because the minerals especially are not in the soil. They're not in the soil. You could own 100 acres of the most organic farmland on planet Earth and only eat the stuff that you grow, and you would still be nutritionally deficient. Supplementation is mandatory. It is not optional. So the first thing for you to do is easy. All you have to do is get your hands on the 90 essential nutrients and swallow them on a regular basis. That's it. There's no blood work that you need to do to micromanage your metabolism. There's no X-ray or radionics machine that you need in order to figure out what's going on. You just need to trust that your body knows how to fix itself, give the body the raw materials it needs to fix itself, and get the hell out of the way. And, these nutritional supplements are collectively referred to as the Healthy Foundation Pack. And here's what it's comprised of. It's 4 different supplements. One is called Tangy Tangerine, 2.5 powder.
I'm not seeing it over here, Doc.
Can you see it?
It should be up on. I don't see it. No.
See it right next to me?
Oh, right there. Okay, got it. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a multivitamin, mineral, antioxidant, probiotic, prebiotic, some mushrooms in there. It's a fantastic formula. Next on the list is a liquid calcium and magnesium with some other stuff in it. This is the most absorbable, most effective calcium supplement I've ever seen. The jewel in the crown of this quartet is the plant-derived minerals, organic plant-derived minerals, which give you 66% of your body's nutrient needs. And then we have omega-3 and omega-6 essential fats and gel caps. The combination of all 4 of these gives your body, for the first time in your life, all 90 essential nutrients. And that's step number 1.
And what's the name of that grouping, Doc?
It's called the Healthy Start Pack.
Healthy Start Pack. Okay.
Yep.
And for everybody, you can go to samshalhoub.com, click on Get Your Supplements, and it'll take you right to that website. Go ahead, Doc. Sorry.
Yeah, and you should. Because, look, all wine is made from grapes. But there's a pretty big difference from bottle to bottle, right? We can all agree on that. Not every chicken soup recipe tastes the same. We can all agree on that. Well, it's the same with nutritional supplements. There is a big difference in the effectiveness of a nutritional supplement based on all of these distinctions of how it was made and how it was formulated and how it was bottled. And it's a big freaking deal. I'm telling you, or 35 years of clinical experience, this is the most effective stuff I've ever seen, and I make zero money from its sale. So I'm interested in helping people to extract themselves from the tentacles of the Machiavellian, monopolistic, evil medical monopoly, which has been in place in this country for over 100 years. So on my website, I teach people what to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. If you're smart enough to pass a driver's license test, you're smart enough to know what to do. This is step number 1.
Excellent. Now, Bodog1111 said minerals in Celtic sea salt and Irish sea moss, ?
Yeah, so the Irish sea moss is another vector for mineral supplementation, right? It's another way to get minerals. But so if I was to use an automobile analogy, the Irish sea moss would be like, I don't know, a Volkswagen Beetle, and the plant-derived minerals would be like a Lamborghini.
Wow, that big a difference?
It's a huge difference. Yeah.
Wow. Now, we have another question here. What if you have the MTHR gene or MTHFR gene? Well, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so that's a gene, supposedly, that exists in some people, which makes it hard for them to metabolize unmethylated B vitamins, B like baby. So if the people with that gene take a nutritional supplement that has B vitamins in it that are just normal B vitamins, those B vitamins are going to make them sick because they can't metabolize them because they have the genetic malfunction. In the Tangy Tangerine 2.5, all of the B vitamins are methylated. So you don't need to worry about that. Why do we do that? Or why does the company do that? Because we've got your freaking back. That's why. And nobody does it better than these folks. Nobody does.
So there's a gentleman by the name of Gary Brecka. Do you know him? Or
Nope.
have you heard of him?
No.
Yeah, he's fairly new to me in the last 6 months, but he talks about some sort of methylation test that can be taken. Do you know anything about that? And if so, what's that about?
Yeah, well, that's to test to see whether or not you can handle whether or not you have that gene malfunction.
Oh, okay.
But you don't need to do that if you're taking this, because this stuff is all pre-methylated. So this stuff works if you have the MTHFR gene or if you don't. So, I mean, there's no need to get the testing done because when you take this stuff, it's handled.
You know, Doc, that brings up another question. For years, I've had people argue with me about taking too much vitamins or taking too many minerals and so on and so forth. And I've never been of the mindset that that's harmful. My opinion has always been if you have enough, whatever's left over will get excreted. What's your opinion on that? Is there any danger with taking too many vitamins?
Well, it doesn't matter what my opinion is. What matters is what are the facts regarding this, right? And the facts are that the people that tell you you can overdose on nutritional supplements have their heads up their ass. They do not know what they're talking about.
Don't beat around the bush, Doc. Come out straight with it, okay?
And they should just shut up and go back to school, for goodness sake. Okay. So look, there is something that biochemists have an acronym for. It's called the LD50. And it stands for the lethal dose that will kill 50% of the people who take it. Everything has an LD50. Sunlight has an LD50. Water has an LD50. Every pharmaceutical drug has an LD50. All nutrients have an LD50. Everything has an LD50. I calculated the LD50 for the OsteoFX. In order to hurt yourself with the Beyond OsteoFX liquid calcium supplement, you would need to swallow 73 bottles in one day.
Wow.
And one bottle is 32 ounces. So number one, you couldn't physically do that. And number two, once you swallowed 10 bottles, your body would start to reject it. So it is much more of a problem to be under-nutrified than it is to be over-nutrified, because I've never ever seen anybody over-nutrify their body. I don't think it's possible.
Okay. Now we got a couple other questions and comments here. User with a whole bunch of numbers says, what's the website? Well, if you go to samshalhoub.com and you click on the Dr. Peter Glidden button, that'll take you right to his website and you can sign up from there. And then Chrissy C. Jump said, how much vitamin D should someone have? And also, can you have heart issues with too much vitamin D?
Okay. So now we're going to start. Let's let the learning begin here, folks.
Cool.
Okay. So vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's a hormone. Did you know that? And most vitamin D, we're going to just call it vitamin D for ease of communication, is extracted from the lanolin of sheep's wool that has then been irradiated. So thinking that you actually need to supplement with vitamin D is ridiculous. You do not need to supplement with vitamin D because your body will make vitamin D. Your body needs precursors in order to make vitamin D, and those precursors are the 90 essential nutrients and sunlight. So if you live above the Mason-Dixon line in the United States, or if you live, above Portugal in the European Union, then in the winter months, you do not get enough sunlight in order for your body to manufacture adequate amounts of vitamin D. So what do? You take the 90 essential nutrients, you get a light that sits on your desk. It's a specific light at a specific frequency, and you just sit in front of it for 10 minutes a day, and your body makes all the vitamin D that you need. It is much smarter to lean on the wisdom of the body in order to manufacture vitamin D than it is to mess around with vitamin D supplementation. And most of the information that concerning vitamin D that you're going to find on the web or at a medical doctor's office, everybody tests vitamin D now. It's a bullshit test. I don't recommend it. And by the way, if a medical doctor opens their mouth about anything having to do with vitamins, you should report them to their medical board, because they have had no training, no clinical experience, no appreciation, and no respect with vitamins, period. If a chiropractor started telling people how to do open heart surgery, you'd have a problem with that. Well, if a medical doctor tells you anything at all about vitamins, you should have a problem with that, and you should report them, because they're just pisses me off. Maybe you can tell.
No. So, well, in regards to the sunlight, or I should say the vitamin D supplementation versus the light, you mentioned a specific light that you can put on your desk. Would it be just as beneficial to be out in the open sunlight?
Well, yes, but right. In the northern latitudes in the middle of winter, it's hard to do that every day.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
But 100% laying out in sunlight is the preferred way to do that. And there's a whole nother mythos, being promoted by the pharmaceutical industry, that sunlight is bad for you and it causes skin cancer. It does not. Absolutely does not.
Right. Ask the Native Americans. They've been out in the sun for centuries, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. Somebody else had said to me, Doc, that in order for vitamin D production to be efficient, that after you're in the sun, that you cannot shower for 8 hours. Is there any truth to that?
That's I don't know is the answer. That would make sense to me, but I don't know if that actually has clinical legs.
Okay.
But you know what the deal is here, Sam? And all you have to do is think this through, right? In 1912, through the advocacy of the Carnegies and the Rockefellers, the American Medical Association was given exclusive control over who could and who couldn't practice medicine in this country. It was a hostile takeover of the medical market. And it ensconced the MDs and the pharmaceutical industry into first place. And while they have been in first place, chronic disease is escalating. Autism is through the roof. Alzheimer's is through the roof. Heart disease, just as many people get it now as they did 50 years ago before the advent of statin drugs, which don't work, by the way. High blood pressure is increasing. Obesity, it's an epidemic, especially in kids in this country and in adults. Life expectancy is getting shorter. The leading cause of bankruptcy is medical bills. Why is this happening? It's because the medical doctors do not practice medicine. They practice allopathic medicine. And allopathic medicine is most excellent for military field surgery, military field medicine, surgery when it's necessary, the complications of childbirth, and dentistry. That's the wheelhouse of conventional medicine. But for everything else, all the stuff that everybody goes to the medical doctor for all the time, it is the wrong dog for the hunt. Their therapeutics are not intended to cure your condition. They are intended simply to manage it. Your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but they do not practice health care. They practice sick care, disease management. If we actually had a free medical market, all of these questions would have been answered. How much vitamin D do we need? Which vitamins are best? Which minerals are best? How much do we need? When do we need it? How do we take it? All of these questions would have been answered. Are viruses real? Would have been answered. What's the true anatomy of a human cell? Would have been answered. What's the relationship between the polarity differences between the brain and the liver? Would have been answered. What's the relationship between parasitic infections and cancer? Would have been answered. But we don't have a free medical market. And because we don't have a free medical market, people are used to suffering. I mean, you look around, everybody's sick. And people think, well, it's just because life sucks. It's not. It's because your medical doctor doesn't know what to do to make you healthy, period. And they don't even think that it's possible to make you healthy. It's completely outside of their conceptual ideation. And
it's like my brother, Dr. Mike, used to say. He used to say, crisis care is not health care. And it sounds like that's what you're describing.
100%, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go to the medical doctor with high blood pressure, for example, they give you a high blood pressure medication which suppresses your symptoms. I mean, it's better to take the medicine than to die from high blood pressure, but they have no idea what causes the high blood pressure, and they have no idea how to cure it. So they just manage it with drugs.
Nope,
And then the
there go your
drugs stop
balloons again.
working, and you need more drugs and more drugs and more drugs, and then you die.
Yeah.
And then your relatives are so grief-stricken that they organize a 5K run and they raise 10 grand and they give it to the medical professionals under whose care you got sick in the first place, who didn't know how to fix you, and you died while you were under their care. That's how deep down this rabbit hole we've gone.
Oh, I know, Doc, I know. So we have another question here from Swing Life. What's the best water to be drinking at home and on the road?
Yeah, so there's now I don't have any affiliation with any of the things that I talk about. I don't make any money from any of this. So I think the best water in the United States is made from the Ouichata mountains, I think, and it's either in Kentucky or Virginia. I'll look it up in a minute, but I get their water delivered to my house. I get 10 gallons every 2 weeks. I think hands down, it's the best water. You know, because if you're living on town water or city water, they're probably putting chlorine in it, and they're probably putting fluoride in it. Fluoride will reduce your IQ, and chlorine causes atherosclerotic plaque to build up in your arteries. They're big bad voodoo daddies. So I recommend getting bottled water from clean sources in the United States. And if you can't do that, then you have to get a filter. but then you have to have the water that you have filtered analyzed, not through the county, but through a laboratory. And I think the best lab in the country to do that is called Doctors Data in Illinois. Doctors Data in Illinois. You can do a web search for them. You can call them up, say, I want your water analysis kit. They'll send it to you. You have your water analyzed. It'll tell you what's not in your water or what is in your water. And that's the best way to do it.
Okay. Now we have from Swing Life, what time during the day is best to take supplements?
Whenever you can fit it into your schedule. And that's sounds like a tongue-in-cheek answer, but everybody's different. And as far as the metabolism goes, I don't think there's very much difference. There is one caveat, however. So it's basically, when you can figure out how to do it and get into a routine doing it, that's the best time to do it. So there are, however, a category of biochemicals called phytates. And you spell that Phytate, phytate. Spinach has a lot of phytates in it. Nuts have a lot of phytates in it. There's a bunch of foods that are high in phytates. If you take a mineral supplement, not a vitamin supplement, if you take a mineral supplement into your stomach and there are foods that are high in phytates in the stomach, the phytates will bind to the minerals and make it hard for your body to absorb them. So if you're taking a mineral supplement, which you will be if you follow my advice, you need to swallow the mineral supplements a couple of hours away from eating a food that has phytates in it. But other than that, you take it whenever the heck you can.
Well, I know from
by the way.
And I know from experience, I've been taking supplements my entire adult life. And for me, it always works best for me to take it at night when I go to sleep, because it seems like it just gives the body a time to assimilate and regenerate and what have you. But that's just me personally. Now, Doc, we have Baby Cakes that says that she's on dialysis and having high blood pressure for 1 week. Any recommendations?
Well, we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of people get off of dialysis or be able to not go on dialysis. Now, there is a point of no return beyond which the body just can't fix it. There is. I don't know what that is. I used to think I know what that is. I don't know where that is anymore. So what do? We attempt to make the kidneys really healthy. And how do we make the kidneys really healthy? We clean up our diet. We take the nutritional supplements and a handful of botanical medicines for 6 months. And then we look
Doc,
to see.
let me interrupt here. We just got leapt on TikTok. I'm going to extend the time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Then we, and then we just gauge how well your response is. And if you're on dialysis, then the people doing the dialysis are going to see your blood work improve because, they look at that on a regular basis. Not all that information for, healthy kidney function is on the website. I can't explain that to you in a 2-minute soundbite here, but we have lots of clinical experience with that. Lots of clinical experience with it. And it's a really good thing to attempt to fix because dialysis sucks.
So if you go to samshalhoub.com, look for Dr. Peter Glidden's button. If you're on TikTok, you can access the website there. If you're on X, Rumble, or YouTube, Noah just put up the QR code and the link in the chat. So you can click on that and that'll take you to the website. Now, Doc, we have Cloney23 said, what do you recommend for diabetic neuropathy in both legs?
Fire your medical doctor and sue your insurance company.
Okay.
Well, no, of course I'm being tongue in cheek, but you should be pissed because you've spent a small fortune your entire life in medical insurance premiums. Add it up. How much have you spent? And while you were spending all of that money, and that includes the money that you put in for Medicare every month through your paycheck, in addition to your medical insurance premiums if you have private medical insurance. Add those numbers up, and while you were paying an exorbitant amount of money, you got sick. And then the people that you got sick don't have any idea why you got sick, and they have no idea what to do to fix it. And if that doesn't piss you off, I don't know what will. I mean, if you bought a brand new car from Ford Motor Company, and a month after you bought it, the transmission fell out and the engine caught on fire, you'd pitch a fit. But when your body breaks down, you don't. Because we've all been hypnotized into thinking that the medical doctors know what they're doing when they don't. And what was the question with diabetic neuropathy?
Yes, in
Okay.
both legs.
All right. So we give the body the nutrients that it needs in order to have healthy blood sugar. Because one of the first things to consider with unhealthy blood sugar is that it is due to a deficiency in the trace mineral chromium. Your body needs chromium in order to metabolize sugar appropriately. If you don't have chromium, you can't do that. So we give the 90 essential nutrients and extra chromium. We clean up our diet. We eliminate 12 bad foods. We see how far back the body bounces, because you have the neuropathy because of the excess levels of sugar in the blood. So when we clean up that, if we can clean up that, if the system isn't too far gone to help, then we look to see how far back it bounces. And I would also use homeopathic treatment as an adjunctive for the medical nutrition in that case.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, Doc, we have Alex Raymer asked, what about the link to statins and diabetes, or to diabetes?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but what I do know is that there is allegedly a gigantic link between the use of statin drugs, dementia, and Alzheimer's. I am of the opinion that the Alzheimer's epidemic is caused by statin drugs. That's Dr. Glidden's opinion. And there's a lot of research to back that opinion up. But it's not settled science, because the statin drug industry is a $20 billion industry a year, and they are not going to go peacefully into the night. Now, it's possible that there's a relationship between statins and type 2 diabetes, because statins lower cholesterol, and your body needs cholesterol to have a healthy cell wall and other things.
That's the myelin that you're talking about, not only the nerve cells, but 2/3 of the brain, right?
Yeah. So, but as far as it affects diabetes, I'm not sure.
Well, see, and that's the other thing too, Doc. When it comes to dementia and Alzheimer's, I've been under the impression, and from what I've read over the years, that the government telling us to eliminate fats from the food is a direct correlation to the depletion of the myelin in the brain, which causes Alzheimer's and dementia. Would you agree with some of that?
And yeah, 100%. And also, when you take a statin drug, it stops the body's production of cholesterol. So your cholesterol dries up, your brain dries up, your nerves dry up, your sex hormones dry up, you decrease cholesterol. Because the medical doctors think they're smarter than God. They don't believe in God. Your medical doctor might be a religious person in private, but at work they're an atheist. Because the spirit doesn't exist. If it can't be measured, it doesn't exist in MD science. It doesn't exist. Science argues that for atheism, there is no God, there is no spirit, there is no life after death. It's a fiction. Consciousness itself is a function of biochemistry. So when the body dies, consciousness dies, it's lights out, game over. That's what they freaking believe. And that's why you should avoid them like the freaking plague.
Cloney23 said, she's the one that asked about the neuropathy. She said, it's from my mom. Her legs feel cold all the time and no help from the doctors. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, and no help from the doctors is par for the course, for goodness sakes. But, you know, this is the inside out, upside down world that we all live in now. right? The people that are in charge of medicine have no working definition of health. They are not trained how to make you healthy. And they're basically glorified drug dealers. Now look, I have friends who are surgeons. Surgery is, if you need surgery, you go to a surgeon, because that's the wheelhouse of MD land. And every time I'm in the dentist chair, I thank God for lidocaine, right? So there's room in the world for all types of medicine. But in a perfect world, the MDs would only be allowed to do surgery because that's their wheelhouse. For everything else, they're horrible and they're dangerous.
Well, and it goes back to the old adage that doctors treat a patient as opposed to heal them. There's some wisdom there in terms of what they're trying to do. Now, Caption Tuning Fork says, we love and appreciate your opinions. Alex said, government has most cures, but they only cure the symptoms to keep you coming back, which is what we've been talking about, right, Doc?
Yeah, patient cured is a customer lost.
Yeah.
And look, I'm telling you, so this is I don't make any money from this, but this is the water that I recommend, Mountain Valley Spring Water. It's
Which
a really,
where is it?
It is in the, I just had it up. It's in, where is it? Virginia. I'll look it up in a minute. It's
Mountain Valley
it's
Spring
right
Water?
underneath my picture, my face. You see it? I don't know if you can see it on
Oh,
TikTok.
yeah, there it is. Okay, yep.
Okay. All right. That's the answer to that other guy's question. That's the water that I use. Maybe I should call them up and, tell them they should pay me money to advertise their stuff, but they don't. And I'm okay with that because I'm not interested in selling products. I'm interested in selling information. And that's what I do, because I don't want patients. I want students. I don't want to give somebody a fish. I want to teach them how to fish. And all of that is lined up at my website.
Yeah, and again, everybody, if you're on TikTok, go to samshalhoub.com, look for the Dr. Peter Glidden button, click on that, it'll take you right to his website. And if you're on Rumble, X, YouTube, Noah has put in the chat the link to leavebigpharmabehind.com. Click on that, and it'll take you right to Dr. Glidden's website. Caption Tuning Fork said that's a better way of saying it. We live in an upside down and right side up world.
Yeah, 100%. And people that are on your channel, Sam, I think they've popped out of the matrix and they understand everything that's going on in conventional medicine. But I'm telling you, folks, I've been doing this for 35 years as a naturopath. And as bad as you now think that it is 1,000 times worse. 1,000 times worse. The most important thing that anybody can do in order to optimize their health moving forward is to fire their medical doctor immediately and seek out alternatives, which are science-based, clinically verified, and have been developed and delivered by medical professionals, just medical professionals who are not MDs. That's my advice, because it's as bad as you think it is. It's much worse.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doc. I agree with you. Okay, Doc, well, we're going to wrap it up here. We've had a lot of good questions. Everybody, just so you know, samshalhoub.com, look for Dr. Peter Glidden's button. That'll take you right to his website. If you're looking for the supplements, go to samshalhoub.com, click check, get your supplements here, and it'll take you right to the website. Doc, any closing thoughts before we wrap this session up?
No, just thank you, Sam, for allowing me to, vent, because I need to. And if you sat behind my desk for 1 week, you'd be in tears at what conventional medicine has done to people. So I appreciate, number one, what you do, and number two, the free reins that you give me when I show up. It helps me a great deal to kind of manage my psychological stress. So I appreciate it very much.
Well, Doc, I am so grateful that we get to do this on a regular basis. So many people benefit from it. My brother, God rest his soul, is who woke me up to this back in the mid 80s. Yeah. And this is partly for his memory, because you and him think so much alike, or he did think that way. and he's taught me so much, and I learned so much from you. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Goes both ways, Sam. I'm happy to be here, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.
Great, Doc. We'll talk again soon.